Hey, party people, and welcome to this episode of But Are You Weird? A podcast dedicated to spending time talking with some creative, captivating, and downright cool people, diving into their world and ultimately asking, But are you weird? I'm Amanda, your host and resident weirdo, and I am so happy you are here. And our guest on this episode is Kristen. Yay, Kristen! I feel like I need to point out that it's not going to sound any different, but it's Kristen with a T-E-N, correct?
I love that you said that because when I was a kid, I would get really snobby about my name. Like I'd be like, it's not Kristen, it's Kristen. So yes, it's E-N, which is,
Whoa.
I think, the best Kristen.
Wait a minute. You just did something so wild for me because I think about it as Kristin versus Kristen, but you did Kristin versus Kristen, which is a very subtle difference. Yeah, when I think about the difference in Kristens, I think about the T-I-N versus just the I-N or versus just the E-N.
So what's really funny about that is I used to work in preschool and you know, you can never remember kids' names. So I'd be like, Kristen, and I would put up all 10 fingers and be like, it's Kristen, and everybody would giggle.
Yeah.
So sometimes I still do that with the kids I work with, even like middle school age kids, and they kind of laugh but roll their eyes. So it's kind of great.
I would always introduce myself with two hands if I were you. like Kristen, like hands. Jazz hands. Yeah, I'm very particular about getting people's names spelled right. And I don't know, again, this could be the weirdo-ness in me, but like I am very visual. So like I picture people's names. So when I ask people their names, so like if I didn't know you and I met you, and maybe when I did meet you, I probably did this, but I was like, how do you spell your name? Because when I say your name, I'm saying it how it's spelled. So like Sarah's and Sarah's are very similar too. Like it's literally pronounced the same, but like, do you have an H or do you not have an H? Because that matters.
Well, do you do Sarah or Sarah?
So funny enough, Kristen and Sarah, the two that I think of in my life, is a tin and has an H. And they also like Kristen seems like a Kristen and Sarah seems like a Sarah.
I get it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, now that we have that taken care of, Kristen,
yeah.
Can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Oh, goodness. So this was my fear. This question was my biggest fear because have you ever like been in class, like a college class, and people say, tell us something about yourself, right? And I don't know where to go with that. Like my mind goes to like a million places. So it's like, what do I do for work? Or like, is it, I have 3 cats or, you know, like, am I an auntie? So like, I guess I'll do the basics. I'm Kristen, and I'm 38. I'm going to be 39 in 14 days.
Woo-hoo! Happy early birthday.
Thank you. It's Leo season. So
okay. All the Leos I know are always, it's Leo season.
It's my birthday month coming up. So I try to do a lot of things in August. But yeah, I'm turning 39, which is weird. I work in home with children and families. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that.
Well, you mentioned cats. I think we have a big cat following on this podcast.
Yes.
Tell us about your cats.
All right. So we have Link. I call him Lincoln, but my husband's like, no, his name is Link from like Zelda. And I'm like, but his proper name is Lincoln. He is 13. He is a fat orange cat. Then we have Pepino. So Pepino started off as Nova, just to let you know.
Okay.
And then I just started singing to her, which the VeggieTales song, the dance of the cucumber. And so I started singing that to her. And for whatever reason, her name is Pepino now. AKA Pippi, Pepina, Pina, Ballerina. And then we have a cat named Mountain. We got her a year ago.
Have you, I guess we're going to go on a tiny cat tangent. Have you always been a cat person?
You know, it's funny because like I grew up with cats and dogs. And my husband is a big cat person, like a huge cat person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like I call him the cat whisperer because like he'll go over people's houses and people will be like, oh, well, this cat doesn't like anyone, right? And they'll come out for Seth. So he's always been like a big cat person. And I am too. I think I love dogs equally, but I think that it's just a lot to take care of a dog, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I guess we've together always had cats. So yeah, growing up I had a lot of cats and kittens, but he's the one who had like he could list like 20 cats he's had in his lifetime.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow. There's no way around this. I like guys who like cats.
It's different, right?
It's so different. Yeah, cats, guys and cats. Also, I just want to go back for a second. You said he was a cat whisperer, and I think there's a really great opportunity to say whisper, like purr.
Yes, whisper. Oh my God, he's gonna cringe later if he listens to this.
Yeah, I can change his name. I can't. Yes. Bill
no,
loves
I don't
cats.
Like that name.
Yeah.
Bill loves the cats. He's a cat man. And it's so funny because we've been together. It'll be 17 years.
Wow.
And so like every year people would just get him, like we have like a million books on cats, like those silly, funny. We have the board games like the Exploding Kittens. We have like a board game shelf, and he has like he always gets cat shirts. He's had to get rid of quite a few because I think everybody just knows he's a cat person at this point. So yeah.
So I think episode 5 will be Seth.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
So now I get to tell you why you were invited on the show.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about this podcast, I did make a short list of folks that I was like, okay, who would I want to talk to? And it was really, like I just said, like thinking about people who I admire, people who I have this like philosophy of life where I definitely like to stay around people who bring energy to my life. Like if you are a plus, like, yes, you're sticking around. If you're neutral, I'm happy to have you. If you take energy away from me, though, it's not going to work out. And so I was like, who are my positives? Who are people that bring me energy? And the weird thing is that we really don't know each other.
We don't?
I met you once. Oh, my goodness. I think it was before David and I got married, or we were about to get married. So like 6-ish years ago, maybe 7-ish years ago. Yeah. I'm autistic. I'm socially awkward. At the time, I didn't know that I was autistic, but I was able to talk with you. And like you said, like we hit it off pretty quickly. And it wasn't, these like grand, oh my God, let's be besties and hang out all the time. It was just something about you was so comforting and so real. And I remember thinking, oh, I really like her. And like, okay, I'll go to more of David's games because like she might be there and I can talk to her and like maybe that could be a friend. And
That's
then
so sweet.
I think either you friend requested me or I friend requested you. And I got to tell you, I don't really say yes to a lot of people because it's really weird to me that people like know my personal life, ironically, as I do a podcast. Whoever requested who, I thought, yes, like she is allowed to be in my circle because I trust her. And mind you, again, this is really after meeting you once. Wow, this is like the longest why I invited someone ever. But then I think I had already heard about the work that you did with children and families, and that's probably something we connected on. And I feel like I'm going to cry, but I'm not going to cry. But I think the work that you do and the way that you do it and the way that you hold and center children and families who have been through really tough stuff in the way that like, when people are outside of work, they can talk crap about their job or they can say, oh my God, this is so difficult. And this family did this and this, that. But like I had never, and I still have never heard you speak poorly about the families that you work with. Like you appreciate people and that when people aren't looking, you are still making the right decision. Like your character.
Are gonna make me cry.
So again, really only talked to you once, maybe twice, but I really like you.
Oh, I like you too. So the funny thing about that is I do remember we had a really great conversation and like I could tell that vibe too. And I think that meeting you and getting to talk to you. And I did feel like a strong connection. And I think what happened was I friended you. And then after I was like, oh, I don't know if she's going to accept my friend request. Should I have done that? Like, that's my thing too, is like, I'm very like insecure about stuff and I'm an overthinker. So the funny thing is about this podcast is all week I was like having conversations with you in my head. And so it's like, you can't prep for this. And I'm just like, well, what if she asks this? And what if she says this? And like, I'm listening to your podcast, but I'm a pretty open book and I talk too much and people know that about me. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, with families, I think what you said makes a ton of sense because working with families and the children I have, I would have loved a person like me to like validate me. So I think that when it comes to working with kids of any age, everything they feel and experience is valid, right? So I think people don't understand how important everything is to kids. You know what I mean? So like we all have like hindsight, right? Like we can look back and be like, oh, why did I do that? That was so stupid, or like, doubt yourself. But kids don't have those experiences, right? So like to expect a lot out of a kid that doesn't have those experiences, so I think that it's important to, validate kids and make them feel good about their strengths and who they are as a human.
When I think about other OTs that are going to work in a field, or even when I'm teaching them in the mental health courses, when we talk about adolescence, like I say, like you have a wonderful ability to make a profound impact on the course of somebody's life. Like you showing them unconditional positive regard and believing in them. So now I'm thinking about you, Kristen. So like you showing up for a kid and having them feel loved and seen and valued. Like now they know what that feels like. And so now there's a comparison when someone else treats them whatever way, they go, wait a minute, Kristen met me at this place and she saw all this beautiful stuff in me. I think I'm worth more than whatever this other person is showing me. And so like it can profoundly change the trajectory of somebody's life working with kids. It's also very easy to like dismiss these feelings of kids because like you said, yeah, they don't have that ability to have the hindsight and have the experience to learn from it. But like as adults, we just want to jump in and fix and say no and say, do it this way. And it's like, we have to honor and value the experience of the youth and let them make mistakes and celebrate what they know.
Absolutely.
And give them a space to express themselves.
Absolutely. But I do have to say, and I have a hard time talking about my work because, all right, I'm going to say it, I'm really good at it, right? But I also have my own, like, I don't like to brag about myself and I have my own self-doubt and, being self-conscious about things, but I've heard from other people I'm really good at it. It's not easy. You do struggle through it. A lot of families just want, peace, right? Or, life to be less chaotic. So I might ask, if life was less chaotic, what would that look like for you, right? But I do love to share like the triumphs, but I love people. I really do. And I think that when people look at families through, a behavioral lens, like, oh, the parents must be this, that, and the other thing, right? But when I go into homes, what I've found out for the majority of my families is that they absolutely love their kids, right? Like there's no lack of love. It's really just trying to navigate life and figure out how we can support the kid in the best way. And parents might not have those skills, and that's okay. Like we all grew up in different ways. But it really bothers me when people judge other people's families, you know what I mean, without knowing them. Like I'm that kind of person where I'm driving and someone cuts me off and, people are swearing and I'm like, maybe they're just having a bad day.
Yes. I was just talking about this, but the idea of being curious.
Yeah.
And like if somebody cuts me off in traffic, I'm like least likely to get upset. I'm more likely to go like, oh, I hope they get wherever they need to go safely.
Yes, me too.
Right? But like I default to people are inherently good.
Yeah.
And so if we make the assumption that everyone's doing the best that they can, it makes life so much easier. And there's so much less negativity because you don't think that everyone's out to get something or out to get you or being intentionally malicious. It's just, no, that person is doing the best that they can to get home because they have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Or they just got really bad news about someone in their family. And so they are trying to race to the hospital. And instead of seeing it as, oh, that person was just cutting me off because they wanted to. Like, I'm not choosing that narrative.
I love that you said that. I just, we connect even more because it just, what's the point? You know, like, I mean, obviously I'm not perfect. I do get mad at certain situations, but then I do like try to reframe it in my head as like, because I also, not that you could probably tell, have ADHD. So I've been not the greatest person in traffic, right? And like, I've had people honk at me and I like roll down my window and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I like wave them.
Yeah.
And then I've had people like swear at me and then I've cried. So it's
Yeah.
trying to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Oh my gosh. When I make like a traffic error, let's say, so like, I don't know, maybe I'm trying to think of what it would be. Maybe I merge onto the highway, but like, and okay, I really think I'm a good driver. I just want to preface it with that. Like, I'm not wild and insane out there. Okay. So let's say I merge onto the highway and like, whoops, didn't see the car was there. Like, I will slow my car down so that I never have to see that car again.
Yes.
And I'm like looking around, like I take inventory of all the other cars that were around. And then I'm like, you know what? I think I'm actually getting off the next exit and I will come back onto the highway just so I don't have to be around all of these people who saw me be stupid for a second.
But I also think that part of it is things like, I know, right? Part of that is like, I think those kind of things are met with so much anger nowadays. You know what I mean? Like making those mistakes, obviously you shouldn't be, you know, dangerous in your car, but like we're all human, right? So like I feel like a lot of people, especially like on the road or like on the internet, can just, you know, be cruel. And so I don't know. I've always had that mindset of the whole, you know, maybe they're having a bad day or, you know, because like you don't know what people are going through behind closed doors. You know, so yeah, you just got to give people grace.
Hey, that actually reminds me. Have you ever done the thing where like people pick a word for the year that they lean into?
No. Have you?
Not to say I'm a trendsetter, but like I did it and then afterward everyone was doing it. But like you pick not a year, you pick a word on New Year's and like that's the word that you take into the new year. And like, that's what your life is all about. So like grace at one point was one of my words where it was like, I give other people grace and I'm sure you give other people grace, but like, do you give yourself grace?
Absolutely not. I am my own worst critic. It's so funny too, because, you know, like, you know, obviously I play softball and I'm just goofy and I literally just want everyone in the world to feel good and have fun. And people have said, you're the most positive person I know. And I'm like, to other people, right?
Yes.
But yeah, myself,
Ooh.
it's very, very different. It's a different story. But yeah, I mean, that's just part of, I think, my own mental health. And I think what's important for me working in mental health is I have my own mental health issues and I've had such a long journey with my mental health. So, but yeah, I'm a big grace giver to other people, but not so much myself.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a really straightforward question and we can totally take it out of the podcast if you don't want it.
Okay.
Do you have experiences with depression?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Are you okay talking about this on the podcast or no?
Absolutely. Okay. I think, you know, with my mental health journey, I've been very open and maybe too open. So like, I don't do it anymore, but I do look back on like my posts from Facebook and I like was an oversharer. So like, I've had a lot of different diagnoses in my life. I grew up with pretty bad depression and anxiety and undiagnosed, everything was undiagnosed, ADHD. But it was really like in my 20s that it all kind of came crashing down. And I did I've been inpatient 3 times, and different medications, different, you know, therapists. And so like, I really think it's a journey because there were definitely times in my life where I just didn't think I would be where I am right now. So yeah, I've struggled with depression my whole life for sure.
Yeah, I asked that, and thank you also for sharing, because this is, I mean, it's an incredibly vulnerable piece to talk about. And I'm thinking we are very similar in a lot of ways. Like, I think about, and maybe you think this too, like sharing your story allows other people to hear that they're not alone. And so, like, yes, incredibly vulnerable, but like the benefits outweigh the cost. So you sharing like allows other people who are listening to feel like, oh, wow, someone else feels that way too. And oh, wow, there's hope.
Yeah, absolutely. I hated myself growing up. Like, I would look in the mirror and say very unkind things to myself. And it hurts, to see people struggle with that. So yeah, I mean, I've always had some issues with like trauma and anxiety. I think I had texted you about being a diagnosed person as an adult and not knowing how or why you were doing things as a kid. Like I look back at being a kid and it's a duality, right? So like at home, I was like loud and excited and, very, just weird. And then in school, I was completely like the kid in the back who didn't talk and didn't raise their hand and didn't want to be called on. And I just had a lot of issues with feeling stupid all the time because of that. School is also very hard for me. I kind of like, I couldn't read. And when I say that, I couldn't focus on reading. So I could never really read well, but I can write really well. So like, I kind of use that as a crutch. I would ask people like, what happened in this chapter? And I'd listen and I'd take it in and then I could write without reading, and then still get a B. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I grew up feeling not smart and not a lot of things, and yeah, it's just important for me to validate kids and make them feel good about themselves for sure, because I grew up not feeling any good feelings towards myself. So
you did a lot of adapting and playing into your strengths as a kid, probably without really realizing it. I was like, okay, this is hard for me, but I can do this other side of things, so let me get really creative, use my resources and all the brain power I have to, make this goal, knowing that this part is going to be really tricky for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you talk about having that person in your life that makes you feel good. I remember the first teacher that ever made me feel intelligent. She was my English teacher, and I took creative writing, poetry, and fiction with her. And I actually have some of my binders saved. I never would have saved them, but my mom put them in a box and she just saw me. Do you know what I mean? Like, she wrote things that were so nice. And there was a short story I wrote and she told me that it could get published, right? And like that was the first time. And I was probably like 15 or 16 that I ever felt smart. So that was a big deal. And she was an amazing human. So yeah, I mean, it's tough because if there is a person, an adult in your life that sees you at that age, it can really make a difference for sure.
Yeah, it is no surprise that you are so good at your job.
I want to ask you about your mental health. So
my mental health is a dumpster fire.
Me too. I know, I'm trying to talk about it all like,
let me intellectualize how crappy I feel.
It was very messy at times for sure. There were definitely those times where I didn't want to get dressed and didn't want to do, you know what I mean? So it's like, there are definitely some very dark times with my mental health. And it's still not the best at times. You know what I mean? I don't think people understand. It's not something you completely overcome. And that's why I like to call it a journey, because I think I'm always going to have mental health issues, but it's like a constant work in progress.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my brain's going so fast. I was just talking to someone about trauma, and they're sort of wondering whether their experience that they have socially is this, trauma response, or is it autism? And, getting down to it, what I essentially described is like, it could be both. And if it's trauma, like it doesn't necessarily get fixed, right? Like you can have a ton of strategies and a ton of supports, but it's something that will still be there and can still, in certain contexts or environments, you could still have trauma responses without getting into all this science. So like thinking about what you said about depression in the dark times, like we can be in recovery from that. And we are also acutely aware that the right or maybe the wrong set of circumstances can bring you to that dark place pretty quickly.
Yes, absolutely.
And so just because things have been great for 6 months, a year, 5 years, like and I'm saying we because I relate to you, like still carry this like, yes. And I know I have to be very mindful about what I do and how I engage with the world because that dark place can come back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this week with my ADHD, I've really been struggling with the focus and the concentration and like not using words right. And so like I've been a little, I don't know, I guess frustrated with myself. And then, I have some like body image issues. So like that's been high up in the past couple of weeks. So it is. It's like, I guess, going back to giving yourself grace. But I think you're right. It doesn't go away. But part of, I think, being on this journey for me is like understanding some of my triggers, right? So recognizing those triggers. And so being able to be like, I'm really dysregulated or I'm really sad right now, but being able to say it's, kind of therapy talk, but, I'm feeling this way, but I'm going to ride that wave because I'm not always going to feel this way. And I think when I was younger, I thought depression was like the end all be all. Like I'm always going to be this way. Everything's always going to be terrible, So like you said, it exists. It's very present in my life. But it's just, trying to manage it, I guess.
And I'm like an analogy, visual person. I may have already said that, but I think about like on your journey, like you're, uncovering all these clues that help support you staying on the path that you're on. And like the more you start to learn about your triggers and what works and what doesn't work, like the more that you can advocate and you can say like, no, this is the direction I should be going in, or like, here's the pause that I need to take because I've learned from this journey that this is actually what's best for me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not easy. There was a couple weeks ago and I was just feeling sad. And I went and I just laid in my bed and just was like staring at a wall. And Seth comes in and he's just like, what's up? And I'm like, I'm feeling sad. And he's like, okay. And he's like, well, why? I'm like, there is absolutely no reason. I just know that I'm feeling sad. Right. And so, I mean, that happens. But when I was younger, I thought it was like a death sentence. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to get out of this spiral. But I mean, it's been like a lifelong thing. And I'm really curious, even though I'm not supposed to ask you because you're the podcaster, but I am really curious about you being diagnosed with autism at your age now.
I'm going to share something about it because it's the depression that's actually the interesting part of it. So yeah, I was diagnosed last, oh my gosh, I think officially last June. Not that it matters, but I like details, hence the autism. And I had long suspected autism. But what actually caught me off guard and made me cry when I read my results was the dysthymia diagnosis, which is essentially like it's persistent depression. And so that really caught me off guard because I feel like I mask it so well. Like Amanda's just like you on the softball team, right? Like, yeah, whatever, I'm here to play. I'm probably not the best player, but like I'm ready to cheer everyone on. We've got our special handshakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear bright colors. And like I can hide pretty well this depression that actually lives with me every day. But to see it on paper and that somebody saw it, and especially the diagnosis of dysthymia, that persistent depression where like my baseline is actually depression. And what the feelings I know most intimately are sadness, was like, oh, I can never escape this diagnosis. Like, this is actually with me forever. And as I did research on it, and I'm wondering if this is true for ADHD, because I don't know, but there's a large contingency of folks that get diagnosed with autism that have dysthymia because they've had to be somebody else for so long and have been told by society that they're not right and that they can't meet whatever expectations or feel whatever way because of the way that the world is set up, that they're just inherently depressed. And so this is the dark episode is what I'm going to have to call this episode. But the suicide rates among folks with autism, the amount of attempted suicides is really high because dysthymia, depression, and autism really go hand in hand. From the research that I've read, and I have stats on it. I don't have them handy, but I wonder how much of that is true for folks with ADHD, where, if they've been labeled as being lazy or that I'm sorry, not trying to bring up difficult things, but like the idea of like being told you're stupid in school, like what does that do for somebody's mental health? Like it is a neurological developmental disorder to have ADHD. And you're being told that you're wrong, that you don't think right, that you can't do X, Y, Z. Like, of course you're going to feel horrible.
Yeah, of course you're going to have a really negative perception of yourself too, because you're not able to do it. And that's the thing is, as an adult, I can see is the ability to do certain things versus, when I'm younger, it's like, why can't I just do this? Why is this so easy for other people? Why is this so hard for me? And now knowing what I know, it's my brain, right? It's your brain. So I think, that what you're talking about, how would you not feel horrible about yourself when you can't be quote unquote like everybody else? But I do think what's really interesting is now that we're in, I guess, 2025, I've never really heard the word neurodivergent. And it encompasses a lot of people.
Yes.
Especially the kids I work with, right? So I had one girl on the spectrum who was 15. She would say, I'm like, are you looking forward to April break? And she's like, yeah, I can just come home and be autistic. I can just come home and be autistic. And I'm like, that's great. And so I talked with her about, having ADHD and stuff. And she's like, so you're neurodivergent too? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, I think neurodivergent people are going to take over the world. And I was like, that's not something I could have ever thought or understood about myself at 15.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's so powerful that mental health is being recognized and that people are understanding why people are the way they are. But it's still heartbreaking because at the same time, this kid has major depression and, doesn't like herself. So it's still a struggle, I think, to fit into the world, I guess. People hide it so well because you don't want to be that in front of people, right? Like nobody's fun if they're, being depressed and talking negatively about themselves. And I think like as a person with those mental health issues, I just want everybody else to be good. So like my objective is to, like you said, cheer people on and, be the goofy one and just make people happy. So I get it. It's not something I think when you walk around with that people automatically would know about you. And that's something I wouldn't know about you either, because I see you as such and two things can be true, right? I see you as such a shining, bright light person. But yeah, knowing that you struggle with the same thing,
Yeah, that's autism, baby. Thinking about depression. So now I'm thinking about the people that are listening that are like, yeah, man, I totally feel what the two of them are saying. And I just want to go back to the fact that I said like depression in trauma, like always is with you. I don't mean that in like a hopeless way. I mean it in, it's just something as you, again, like collect your clues on your journey, you start to understand yourself more in this awareness of like, yes, this is depression and it's with me, but it's not my entire life existence. And I recognize XYZ factors contribute to sort of, bringing my depression to the surface. And I also have XYZ supports that can help. So I'm not trying to say like, getting a depression diagnosis is all doom and gloom and there's no hope. It's just the idea of you really learn to live with it, to understand it. And what I think is really important about neurodivergent, depression, any diagnosis, is that you understand it to the point where then you can advocate for yourself and say, just like thinking about you going home and just laying down, being like, yeah, I just am sad and I just need a little bit of time. Or I know that doing this particular thing is going to be difficult for me. So I need to prepare myself in these certain ways. And like the more information we have about our diagnoses, or really specifically about how we interact with the world, then the more that we can advocate for ourselves to say, this is what I need to support me being my best self.
Yeah. And I also have to like really attribute like my husband Seth, because, you know, we've been together 17 years and he's seen some really rough patches. You know, like I said, I've been inpatient a couple times and it was really just it's just not wanting to exist, right? Just that feeling. And he's been so supportive, and it's like he knows what I need now. So it's like if I this is the dark podcast. If I am putting on clothes and I'm crying because I hate my body, right? And I'm just stuck, he's like, come on, we're going for a walk, right? And sometimes I'll fight it. I'll be like, I don't want to go for a walk. But like he knows that changes my mood. And I mean, there's now research on just going for a walk and getting out of your head. But he's really good about, you know, recognizing what I'm feeling and just like trying to be there in whatever way that I need, you know?
Yeah. It's also, I think, and I mean, kudos to Seth for certain. It can be really difficult to have a partner who is experiencing depression because it's really easy to feel like it's your fault. And like, how come I'm not making them happy? Or how come the things that I do don't bring them joy? And it is absolutely not about the other person.
Yeah.
It is like Seth is probably the greatest husband ever. And your life experiences and the things that you go through are not his. And I know we're sort of joking about the dark podcast. I mean, it is. And it's also necessary. Because there's certainly playfulness that comes with the But Are You Weird podcast. And being neurodivergent has all of this really fun, quirky stuff. It also does carry this weight of things are really hard. Things that come easily to a neurotypical person. Like there is so much effort that goes into it for someone who's neurodivergent. And then for me, like one of the things that I get caught up in most is that like perseverative thought after I have an awkward interaction where it's like, did 100%. I do that okay? Like, oh my God, they don't like me. I should have never done this thing. And it's like, I don't know if other people have all of that. And that's hard thinking like, man, if I wasn't autistic, would I have these same thoughts about myself? And I don't know. And I'll never know because I've always been autistic. So we're not going to figure that one out. But the more we share stories and we hear from other people and their experiences, the more it's like, oh, now, again, it's like collecting the clues on the journey. Like, oh, that makes sense now. Like, I don't have to beat myself up as much for that because it's actually a pretty normal thing to do for someone who has diagnoses like me.
Yeah. And it's interesting, too, because I think like, I don't know what it is, but like post-COVID with all like the TikToks and the reels and stuff, it's like... I don't have TikTok.
Me neither.
You know. But they like put reels on everything now, which is so distracting. But a lot of it, there's like good and bad with it, right? Because like you said, there's the quirky things, right? Like, oh, I trip over myself, haha, and I drop everything out of my hands. That's cute. But there are the struggles, and some people who put that out there, it's like, wow, like, thank you, you know, and thank you for being seen, like making people feel seen. But also, I think it helps people go, oh, wait a minute. I think that maybe that's the reason I do this, right? And so it hopefully makes people feel a little less like, oh, I do this because I'm clumsy and I'm terrible or like whatever it is, you know, particularly in that reel. But like I see a lot of hope through some of them, you know what I mean? Because for a long while, mental health was not talked about. And having these diagnoses in my 20s felt like a death sentence, right? Like I'm never going to be normal. But the more people put it out there, I think that it's just so helpful.
Yeah, I was actually just texting someone who is in my autism community, as I call it. And she sent me a text just saying, like, thank you so much for listening. Like, there's very few people I can talk about with autism and, all of the struggles that come with it sometimes. And my response back, and I'm going to read it verbatim, I put, the autism community is powerful. Being seen and feeling heard means the world with such a potentially isolating diagnosis. And so, yeah, like with these diagnoses that make you feel alone, it's so powerful to have that sense of community because you're not alone in it at all. At all.
Yeah, at all. That makes a ton of sense. I know we've been talking a long time, but two of my very close friends that I feel, and I've been feeling this way from listening to your podcast, right? And maybe that's what Dana said, but like being able to feel like yourself around certain people, and my two close friends who I've known since I was 18 are so weird. I hope they listen, Cheyenne and Mary Beth.
But a shout out.
Shout out. I don't want to shout out to everyone, but they will listen because I'll make them. No, I'm just kidding. They've been really supportive with my anxiety about doing this. But so one lives in Colorado and one lives in North Carolina. And I don't know, it's like I've always had an unexplainable, powerful click with them. So like we can see each other every couple of years when we like travel to someone's state. And right away, like it's making weird sounds. Like,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like it's like coming up with, some song and then just singing it the entire trip, but putting different words into the song. And it's skipping down the street and it's like belly full of laughter. And I just listening to your podcast and knowing them, I'm like, wow, I know why we're like this because we're all neurodivergent. And Cheyenne's like, that's a new phrase, but it's just interesting because when you talk about masking, I don't know I particularly mask with certain friends. I love my friends around here. Don't get me wrong. All you guys, shout outs to you too. But like that impulse to be weird with them, I don't hold back, right? And it's like just makes my heart so full every time we're together because I think that I can be my authentic self,
I say, and I probably said it, I think in Audra's episode, but you let your freak flag fly.
Yes. We have multiple flags with multiple colors and, we'll start talking in weird accents. And it's literally like the biggest joy of my life. Using the word authentic self, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And I think the 5-year-old Kristen just wanted to shine, and be an actress and a singer and a dancer and just be the silly, person. And I feel like when I'm with them, that's who I am. And I miss them.
So Kristen, are you weird?
Drum roll, please. Yes.
You are?
I'm so weird. So I am really weird social interactions with people. The other night we're out at a bar and I had a few, but I'm like this anyway. So we were dancing, listening to a band and, this woman's like grooving with us and I'm like, hi, what's your name? And they're like, Kristen, just let it be. She's grooving with us, right? And then towards the end of the night, one of her friends comes up to my friend Jen and he's like, I would just like really like to ask you on a date. And Jen's like, I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend. And he's just like, I just got out of a divorce, so it's been really hard. So, thank you for being nice. And I'm just like, oh, well, I'm really proud of you for asking someone that because that's really a hard thing to do. And you should be proud of yourself.
Oh.
And so later at the end of the night, me, her, and my cousin are sitting there, we're talking, and they're just like, why are you so weird all the time? Like, I'm really proud of you for asking me out. Like, that's a weird thing. And I'm just like, he just needed to know it.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking, I'm like, is she weird? Because I knew you were weird. I mean, from the get-go, but like, what is weird about you? And I think that story really captures what I think other people would think is weird. Like you really celebrate people.
I do.
And that's weird to people. Like, and I'm even thinking about your family. It's like you celebrate these things that I think other people would think are to be expected, which you should see the face I'm giving when I say that. And yeah, celebrating like someone having the courage to ask someone out. Like,
yeah,
that's weird. Giving people compliments and celebrating people you don't know. It's weird to other people.
And that's the stuff I think about later of like, oh, do they like me? Do they hate me? But I mean, sometimes you just got to roll with it. And I think one of my friends, Steve, shout out to Steve, he's really nice to me. And it was just like, you just want everyone around you to be good. Like, you just want everybody around you to be happy. And like, that's like, what I want for people is I just want everyone to feel special and important because we are, right? So that's kind of where I come from is I just want everyone to feel good. So I guess that makes me weird.
So is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
Good golly. I don't think so. I just appreciate you for doing this and giving people a voice and having your own voice. I like when you share about yourself. I really think truly we would have a ton of fun in person. And I like being able to have these types of conversations because it's just not something you do in your daily life. You know what I mean?
All right. So that's a wrap on this episode of But Are You Weird? Thank you so much for Kristen with a EN at the end for letting us get to know you and show us your weird and really wonderful and bright self. And thanks to all of the listeners for tuning in and getting weird with us. I'm so glad that you're here. So if you enjoyed this episode, please follow, leave a comment, or share it with your favorite curious mind. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and definitely stay weird. If you or someone you know is experiencing challenges with mental health, remember help is available and it's okay to seek support. You can reach out to the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting 988 or by chatting at 988lifeline.org. In life-threatening situations, always call 911.